Hello class, welcome to lesson number 2 of our geography class. In this instance, we're going to take a look at geographical concepts. Let's get started. Here we have 4 objectives for the lesson. However, we're only going to focus on the second concept, okay, the second objective, which is identify and interpret the basic geographical concepts. We have 3 basic geographical concepts that we're going to see on this video, okay? The first objective we saw in class, and the last 2 objectives we'll see them in class and on another video as well. So, let's begin with the first of our basic geographical concepts, which is location. Before we get started, I want to make a little note that is going to be very useful for all of us, which is absolute and relative. These 2 concepts are going to help us in this journey, okay? When you think of absolute, you need to consider precise mathematical concepts. When you think of relative, think of human experience, like social classes, economic classes, just experience in general, that kind of thing, okay? Let's get started then. So location in general can be defined as a place where something happens or exists, or the position of something. When we apply absolute or relative to location, these are the concepts that we get from that. Absolute location, we talk about it when we want to talk about a place in a precise and accepted system of coordinates. It's also called mathematical location. So when they give you the coordinates to a place, these degrees north and these degrees east or west, that would be absolute location. Now when we talk about relative location, we mean the position of a place or thing in relation to that of other places or things. This one carries social and economic implications. For example, you can say the mall that is downtown. Downtown is not a coordinate. I'm not giving you a set of coordinates, precise coordinates. I'm telling you downtown. And you living in that city, in your human experience, you already know where that location is. So that is relative location. Let's talk about direction. Direction can also be expressed in absolute or relative. Let's focus on absolute direction first and then relative direction. Absolute direction is based on the cardinal points of north, south, east, and west. It's when you have movement, so that's why it's called direction. It's where you are moving towards, okay? So for example, go north from here, or go south from here, go west or go east, northeast, northwest, southwest, southeast, etc., etc. When we talk about relative or relational direction, we mean cultural based and locationally variable. For example, if you move up this street, so in the street, where is up and where is down? Usually up is north and down is south, but we don't say north or south, we say move up this street until you see this other location. We usually use our human experience for that, or pass the school on the right instead of saying pass the school on the east, so on and so forth. Now when we talk about distance, distance joins location and direction. We can also talk about it in absolute and relative terms. When we talk about absolute distance, we mean the spatial separation between 2 points, and we usually express it in an accepted standard unit such as miles, kilometers, feet, or meters to say how far 2 points are from each other. When we talk about relative distance, we use other units more meaningful to human experience. For example, blocks. This building is 5 blocks away from where we are right now. That is the distance between these 2 points, but I'm not saying the exact amount of meters or kilometers or feet or miles. I'm just saying the blocks of buildings that separates them. Or I can say, walk 5 minutes in that direction and then you'll get to your destination. I'm using time unit to measure the distance between 2 points. Just to remember, absolute in any of the 3 concepts that we just saw, absolute direction, absolute location, absolute distance, they are factual and based on science, usually mathematics. For absolute location, we use coordinates. For absolute direction, we use the cardinal points, and for absolute distance, we use meters, kilometers, feet, or miles. Relative is subjective based on social, economic, or experience elements. Relative location is if it's in a nice neighborhood or an ugly neighborhood, if it's downtown or uptown. Relative direction is go up the street, down the street, go to the left, go to the right. And relative distance is more in other human experience measures such as time, blocks, you name it. Let's do a little exercise. Try to answer before I tell you the right concept, okay? We're going to be applying relative and absolute concepts here. The first example is Russia is actually only 55 miles away from Alaska, as you can see here. What concept is that? Exactly. We're talking about absolute distance. I'm giving you a measure of time that is that is standard. Let's see the other example. The Philippines are north from Indonesia. We have Indonesia here and the Philippines here. What concept is that? Exactly. That is absolute direction. I have to move north to get to the Philippines from Indonesia. Let's do 2 more. The first one, the Great Pyramid of Giza is 29.9792 degrees north and 31.1342 degrees east. What concept is that? You got it. That is precise location because I'm using coordinates. Let's look at the last one. That house is in a luxurious neighborhood. What concept is that? Exactly. That is relative location because I'm not using coordinates. I'm using something of social economic nature to say where the location is. So that is it for today, class. Those were the concepts of location, direction, and distance in absolute and relative terms. Make sure to write down your questions because we'll see them in class. See you later.